Well, it's November, and with that, as well as the video we uploaded earlier today, I think it's about high time we start making videos about ridiculous trade ideas that get thrown out there in articles. I missed out on the intro last video, but we're doing it here because in back-to-back features we are talking about trades. Let's go over onto Sportsnet.ca and look at this piece published by Mark Spector. Now, it's easy to go out there and question this because Mark Spector, not only is he Khonshu in disguise, the Moon Knight himself, but Spector also is an Edmonton Oilers beat writer. So the fact that he's publishing an article going into uncharted territory, i.e. Chicago, Colorado, New York, it is kind of interesting, but there is this piece that I felt like was interesting enough to go out and discuss on the channel. The Blackhawks must ponder the options they have with Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane as their emphatic rebuild pushes forward. This is a piece published last week, the link will be in the description, talking about the Blackhawks and what they can do with Kane and Toews. It goes over trade options, it goes over different teams that might be interested, it talks about what they've accomplished so far, and when it comes to Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews, we all kind of know that they're probably going to end the season off on some other team, seeing as their 10.5 AAV salaries are expiring, and they could be a very good rental piece for any team looking to seek some depth heading towards the postseason, because you sure as heck know the Blackhawks are not going to be anywhere near the postseason by the time May rolls around. This is where we talk about Patrick Kane. Now, the article honestly bounces around all over the place, but I will do my best to just kind of focus in on the individual idea that Spector puts up in this piece. There's a paragraph talking about how Max Domi and Andreas Athanasiou, those two expiring contracts, are going to be traded, but the Blackhawks will have to consult with Kane and Toews on their destinations, since the two have identical deals with no move clauses, an AAV of $10.9 million, and $2.9 million of actual salary left to be paid after signing bonuses this season. There is a school of thought, Spector writes, that Kane could exercise his right to stay around, sign for cheap to shepherd the rebuild, and work towards cementing himself statistically as the greatest Blackhawk ever. But there are more of us who believe that Kane will end the season in the uniform of the Rangers or Colorado. A first-round pick and a good young player like Kaapo Kakko or Samuel Girard would be the return for Kane. Now, that's it. There's more talking about Jonathan Toews and the thing going on with him, but I wanted to talk about that individual idea brought up here. If New York makes a Kane trade, is it Kaapo Kakko and a first that's getting it done? We can talk about Colorado and Samuel Girard, we can talk about them another day. I wanted to mostly focus on this Rangers thing, because when it comes to the idea of the Rangers trading trading for Kane and including a guy like Kaapo Kakko in the package, this actually isn't a new idea. If you search up Kane, Kakko, Lego Rocks 99, you'll find a video that we made. When the heck was this made? A few years ago, actually. Discussing the idea of the Rangers taking on Kane's 10.5 AAV and using Kaapo Kakko, and I believe it was Tony DeAngelo at the time, as the two primary trade chips. Because, the Rangers want a top-of-the-line, number one forward, they can play him with Panarin, etc., and, Kakko could be the guy to go because Kakko is a right wing, Kane is a right wing, so it kind of works out. Now, if you go over to what we talked about back then, I mean, okay, Tony DeAngelo, Kaapo Kakko, and I guess a few picks. Let's just throw out there a template and say a first-round pick. A first Kakko and DeAngelo for Kane. It might have made a little bit of sense back then, and it makes this new idea thrown out by Spector a little bit easier to stomach because, okay, you went from a first, Kakko, and DeAngelo to a first and Kakko because Patrick Kane no longer has an extra 2 or 3 years in his salary. He's going to be a rental. But then you have to go out there and acknowledge what exactly this is in and of itself. This is a rental. Are the New York Rangers going to trade Kaapo Kakko, of all players, for a rental? I don't necessarily think so. And in fact, if you go over to what the Chicago Blackhawks have kind of tried to do already with their trades as of late, trading away DeBrincat, trading away Doc, they sort of want to start out fresh. And I guess the first-round pick from New York that you would probably get in a Kane trade is going to help you out in that respect. But Kaapo Kakko is a guy that definitely has not had his fair share of, let's just say, consistent growth either. If you compare Doc to Kakko, I'd say that they're a lot more similar than different when it comes to the progression so far. Both guys took a while to find their stride. Both guys weren't really the best right off the bat, and sure, there were some good moments once in a while. You had Kaapo Kakko starting out the season with some very nice plays, very nice goals, but as the season has gone on, you look at Kakko right now and you say that, yeah, he's got 3 points in 10 games, and you know, it's kind of a hot and cold game with this guy. I don't watch every New York Rangers game, but I do have a lot of friends and fans and people that I follow who are Rangers fans and that keep up with this team and talk about what's going on in the Big Apple on the daily. And I could have a week's worth of Kaapo Kakko is amazing talk on my timeline. People are talking about the rushes, the ability to just get by people, the willingness to cut to the goal and create high danger chances. People can be talking about that for a while, and then the next week people are talking about how Kaapo Kakko is ineffective and how he's not great and all this and all that. There still is so much uncertainty here that I don't really know if A, New York Rangers fans would want to trade him away because there's still a lot of untapped potential there, and B, because he's been inconsistent, I don't know if the Blackhawks would necessarily want a guy like him in their organization, considering how they had just treated Kirby Dach. If they really want to start from scratch, they'd be acquiring multiple first-round picks for Patrick Kane, and not a guy who is kind of in that same territory of so far being a failed experiment. Jack Hughes and other guys taken in 2019. Who was taken after Dach? It was Bowen Byram. Yeah, he's pretty good. Alex Turcotte. Okay, he's kind of injury-riddled, so we'll give him a pass. Moritz Seider is really good. Cole Caulfield, a 15, is great. There are a lot of players in this timeline of the draft that have been very good. Middle six caliber defenders, middle six caliber forwards for their teams, and Dach and Kakko both had a lot of trouble molding themselves into that type of player in the same time span that it took a guy like Cole Caulfield to become a 20, 30-ish caliber goal scorer in the National Hockey League. So I don't know if Chicago would want Kakko in return. I know a lot of Rangers fans are still wanting to be patient with him. So just throwing out Kakko and a first for Patrick Kane, just as a random, okay, here's a trade proposal I'll include in my article to publish on Sportsnet. I don't really think there's been too much thought put into that trade idea. Because if there was, and that was something that I think actually would occur, we might have seen it already, to be honest. Like, we've seen so much in the Rangers organization that wants to believe in Kaapo Kakko that I don't think they'd be trading him away for a rental of all things. It'd have to be for a player that's going to sign long-term or a guy that you can actually guarantee to keep around for a few years, because Kaapo Kakko and what he could be, when he plays like the guy that a lot of people rave about every second week consistently, he is a legitimately good player. It's just he hasn't necessarily cracked that to the point where he is a definitive, undisputed top six forward who can put up 40, 50, 60 points in a season, even though we could debate that he probably should have been there by now if you asked the people back in 2019 when he was drafted where he would be by the time 2022 rolls around. But either way, you can talk in the comments all your thoughts about this Kaapo Kakko and Patrick Kane thing. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to go ahead and read the article. It's a pretty long piece. There are some more conversations going along about Jonathan Toews and where he could go and the context with the Blackhawks and how they've traded away guys and how other rentals have influenced the market, etc., etc. Spectre kind of goes all out in this piece. Not gonna lie, not bad for somebody who primarily covers a team that isn't even mentioned in the Oilers. But either way, what are your thoughts on the idea of Patrick Kane getting sent over to New York for Kaapo Kakko and a first-round pick? Do you think it's enough? Do you think it's too little? Do you think the Rangers should be changing it up? Do you think they should have a different player in there instead? If you're Chicago, do you say yes to Kakko and a first for Kane? If you're New York, do you say yes? I think we're going to have to make another video as well sometime down the line about Samuel Girard, because I get it, the Colorado Avalanche won a Stanley Cup pretty much without Girard, so you could definitely say, oh, he's expendable because they won without him, because Bowen Byram is really good and Cale Makar is still really good too. Colorado has such a good decor, but that's a video for another day. I feel we've already spent, what is it, like 9 minutes something on this Kaapo Kakko thing. Talk in the comments your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this Juraj Rolls 99, and bye.